your escape eventually becomes your prison. Now, what I mean by that is, most of us, or I did anyway, drank, because I felt better. A lot of the time was to escape from reality over the years. Sometimes just to relax, sometimes to feel a bit more energetic, a bit more pleasant, a bit of a reward sometimes. Had a bad week or had a hard week, you have a few drinks, relax, maybe to get you to sleep, whatever it is. It's a mind-altering drug, isn't it? So it's an escapism, really. But as you progress into addiction, not everyone gets addicted. A lot of people don't. Most people don't get addicted. But this channel is mainly geared towards people who drink too much. As your drinking progresses, you find that your social drinking then turns into a habit. And your social drinking, even 2 or 3 times a week, becomes 4 or 5 times a week and so on. And eventually you think, well, virtually every day you've got a hangover. But you still do it. And I would say again that I go through these 1, 2, 3, 4 stages. In stage 1, like I say, first stage when you're socially drinking, you're not really getting any problems. Stage 2, you're getting a few hangovers, a few minor withdrawals. You're not feeling what was classed as 100%. Nobody's 100%, are they really? But you're just not feeling yourself, maybe. But you're still drinking because it's part of the game. It's your life. You go to the pub, just watch the match. You have social life. You finish work, had a stressful day. You go home, have a few drinks with your partner. They might drink, they might not drink, but you always have a few, don't you? Fancy a little drink. Maybe stay a bit later. If you're sober, you tend to go to bed at a reasonable time. When you're drinking, you stay up. My mother was just saying, still does, she's 93. When you drink, the clock whizzes round. When you sat with a cup of coffee, it goes so slow, doesn't it? Have you noticed that in the pub? You look at your watch at 7 o'clock, and before you know it's 9:30. Try doing that when you're sober. It's a totally different ball game. So all the time you're sort of escaping from reality, aren't you? Even when you're just feeling a bit better, a bit more up for it. Got your mojo back, all this sort of thing. So as time progresses, you're feeling a bit rough, but you just get on with it because it's part of your life. Very social, there's alcohol everywhere. And then maybe you're starting to slip into stage 3, which is when you may be having a few issues. You may be taking your sick leave because you've had too much to drink, or you're really looking forward to your weekend off or your day off so you can have a bit more. And you plan your day, you plan your week around when you can get the most drink, which is what I did. I think, I've got a day off during the week, I'm going to have a few on Tuesday night, and I'm going to have a load on Wednesday. And you spend all your money, don't you? All that hard-earned cash is going on drink. Taxis, food, buying people drinks you don't even know, all this sort of thing. Making bad decisions. Buying things you wouldn't normally buy if you were sober. And you're starting to feel a little bit unwell, maybe. Not yourself. You've lost a bit of your ambition. Your dreams are sort of fading away because all you're thinking about is, I don't feel very well today. I'm going to wait till 3 o'clock before I have a drink. Or wait till 2 o'clock before I have a drink. And it's causing issues. It's causing issues in your marriage or your relationships with family and friends. Because they're always saying, I think you're drinking a bit too much. I remember when I was quite young, I used to work with a couple of policemen, young lads. And they said, so do you think you drink quite a lot? I thought, well, maybe I am, but that's just the way I am. I never really thought much of it. It wasn't a warning, it was just an observation. And people will see you as a bit of a drinker. And you get this handle, don't you? You're always in the pub and that. But I used to drink with people who were similar to me. Big drinkers. It was our life, really. Lost all the hobbies and interests I used to have when I was younger. And then your whole day becomes structured around drink then, and things are going wrong, but you become oblivious to it, and drink at stage 3 becomes your main and possibly only focus. And when I retired, I was at stage 3 and worse, really, because I was just drinking all the time then, or every day. But I wasn't drinking in the morning, very rarely. And then I started to reach for the hair of the dog sort of thing. By that time, my marriage had dissolved. I was living alone then. But I was still drinking, and I thought, well, I can't really get out with this. Been to the doctors a couple of times, had a couple of times off with the help of diazepam, relapsed again. And then I was just back into this vicious circle of just drinking, sleeping, drinking, and I knew it was causing me harm. I'd actually ignored other health issues because I was drinking. I thought, I don't want to go to the doctor. But I was still getting these regular blood tests, Once a year, they weren't showing anything up, and I didn't realise the real dangers of alcoholism then. I didn't realise how bad it was for your physical and, in my case, my mental health as well. So I'm slipping from stage 3 to stage 3.5 here, where you're not really functioning very well. You're just managing to get up in the morning, have a bit of a wash, and then you get the pub, and that's your life really. It starts to become the number one thing. You start to get selfish. You're not thinking about others as much. You might be a lovely, kind, considerate person when you're sober, but when you're in the drink phase, the drink's got hold of you then. And it's the devil sitting on your shoulder. Have another drink, have another drink. And then when you get to stage 4, which is active addiction, you can't get back to stage 3. I once heard somebody describe it as you're on the edge of a cliff, you're falling off, but you can't get back on. And that's the point of no return. That's the point where you need to get some help, which I did a couple of times with medical intervention, and then I couldn't get any help after being sober for 8 years. I went back to the doctors, I couldn't get any medication, and I self-medicated with alcohol from 2014 to 2019 and got into serious mess. But I knew in those 5 years between 2014 and 2019, I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't just stop because I'd had previous seizures. It's very dangerous to just stop. So I was drinking all the time, basically. Every waking hour I had a drink. And that is really when you've hit rock bottom then, and your whole life collapses. Nobody wants to know you. You're isolated. You become, as I did, very anxious, even paranoid about things going around you. You start paying bills. You become financially insecure. You feel insecure yourself. Your confidence is just blown away. You've gone from a confident man, in my case, or a confident woman in a woman's case, to being a physical and nervous wreck. I couldn't get on public transport. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was get a taxi from door to door to the pub and get stocks of beer in. I was so frightened I was going to miss out. I was going to run out of beer. I had loads of beer in the fridge, loads of beer in the cupboard, piles and piles, stacks and stacks of beer. But I was still thinking, what happens if I run out? And I was so worried about life. Now I don't worry about anything really. Maybe my partner, my daughter, mother, my health, but I was worried about the smallest thing that came through the letterbox. A little noise, or somebody driving past a flat, or somebody walking by. Terrified, to be honest. I was worried about going to busy pubs, busy places. I always had to have somebody with me. From being a happy, successful man, I was really, really down. And I think a lot of it was mental health, and obviously the physical side of it didn't help, because there's no positives to alcohol. It drains you completely. It takes all your energy away. You become malnourished. Because you don't eat properly, you don't sleep properly, you don't rest. For years, I don't think I slept properly. And then you're in this active stage 4. And that's when it's hard to get out. Really is difficult. But you can do it. There is hope. And I got taken to emergency hospital in 2019. That's what saved my life. Going into hospital, to be fair. I had no choice. But I don't want you to get to that stage. I want you to cut it out as soon as you can. Or cut back. Even if you just cut back a little bit, you'll find that you feel better. And it's a hard thing to tell somebody who's a big drinker, who enjoys it, you can't have another drink for the rest of your life. But you can't think of it like that. You've got to think of one day at a time, and think, well, today I'm sober. Because at one point, and I would hate to go back there, don't think I could face going back to my old life for an hour. I couldn't even stay sober for 10 minutes. I always had to have a drink by my bed, even when I was asleep or comatose or collapsed. So you've got to take one day at a time. If you can do 24 hours, if you're a heavy drinker, you can do 24 hours without a drink, you're doing well. But as I said earlier, if you've got any doubts about this, if you're dependent, you think, then you must see a medical professional, because they'll guide you through it. Because sometimes you will have to get some medication. I didn't get any, you have to say. And I was so frightened of having a seizure, because you will have a seizure if you stop immediately and just stop suddenly, as it were. Because your body and your brain have got so used to having this fix, you see. Your digestive system gets messed up. Everything gets messed up. So you need some professional help in some cases. A lot of people are going to just taper off. Go from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sort of thing. Slowly. You must cut down slowly if you've been drinking a lot. If you can taper off, it's even better. Because every week you'll feel better. Just cut down by 2 drinks a week even. Do it over time. You can't turn back 30, 40 years of drinking. Suddenly you just say, I'm going to stop tomorrow. That's impossible, because your whole system's got used to it, if that makes sense. So yes, your escape, your good times and the happy times you had drinking and all the fun will turn you into a completely different individual, and you'll feel completely trapped. And it's like being in prison. You've got the key, but you can't get in the lock to get out. So you need some help at some point. If you are benefiting from the channel, then please subscribe and share the videos. I've got an ebook out as well. And if you want to leave a comment, please do, and I'll speak to you all soon. And one other thing, if you have any particular subject you'd like me to cover, then please do. There's a lot of people on this channel, and nearly 6,000 of us, who all have a lot of experience in this field, and all of them are willing to help each other. And it's a great community. Get involved. Speak soon.